My name is Kurt Portis, and I'm from the Eastern Farmer Council, and we farm down the South Wairarapa. So my job is to introduce Sarah Adams today. She has a very diverse career of the last 25 years, been in the agribusiness sector. Her husband farms sheep and beef. Her husband has been down in Christchurch and then has moved up to the Raglan area in the last 3 years. Sarah's sort of specialised in small startup businesses, finding solutions, and then turning these businesses into global beasts of businesses. And that ranges from genetics, superfine merino stuff, or superfine merino company, and arable foods. So yeah, just a warm welcome to Sarah, and take it away.
I think I'm going. So I'm going to talk to you today about creating solutions for farmers in a changing world. And I'm going to talk a bit about from a farmer sort of perspective as well as Gallagher's perspective, and really the journey we're going on. Yeah, so we'll look at some of the agriculture megatrends. We'll look at them today, we'll look at them from a number of years ago and see how they've changed. We'll look at the technology, the perfect storm that we're in at the moment, the Gallagher journey, where we are, where we've come from, and then talk about, we're known for our incremental innovation, but we are really taking a big focus now on some more transformational innovation, and there are some of the things that we'll just quickly go through. So we've got a lot to cover, and I'll go through it quite quickly, but please ask questions on the bits you are interested in, and then if there's anything else afterwards, we can talk about that. So really, these are the mega trends. Everybody should know these. This is what we're facing today in agriculture. Climate, we're seeing ownership structures increasing, farm sizes getting bigger, consolidation, lots of new technologies. They're all coming at you. People don't know what to do, which ones to follow, where to go, but they're there. Changing consumption and increasing consumer awareness, so we've heard that all day around that, and increasing environmental safeguards and legislation, which we've also heard about. So when I've been looking at megatrends, I've been looking at a lot of data, really what were the challenges back in 1986? So around 35 years ago, some of you would have been farming then. What do you think? Has anybody got any idea of what some of the megatrends were back then? Is there anybody who wants to offer anything? Yeah? Diversification, okay. Do you think they've changed a lot from back then till now? Well, we'll have a look. So here we are, US agriculture, the 5 following trends were most considered to be the most critical. So the first one, changes in domestic consumption, a shift from animal to plant products. That's what we're seeing today. We keep talking about more plant-based foods, so nothing has really changed. Internationalism, well, that's changed a little. We are much better at doing that now. We do have a lot of trade agreements and things. Third one, technological change, which we're still seeing. We've just talked about a whole lot of new technologies around. Structural change, so largeness of farms, and environmentalism. So, we've been grappling with the same things for many, many years. But what we're seeing now is legislation's coming at us faster and quicker. We need to change quickly. And why, we've been doing a lot of incremental things, I think, as farmers in all these areas, but now things are moving much faster for us. We have to meet legislations and things, so we need to have some transformational change. So what's happened in technology? So we now have a whole lot of technologies that are enabling us to be able to move to this new world much more quickly and actually get over all these challenges we currently have. So don't be scared of it. It very much is something that's coming at us, and we hear this all the time, that we've got increasing pressures, we have to protect our environment, and high-tech farming will play a crucial role. But all the time I'm asked, you know, what is high-tech farming? What is it going to mean? How are we going to do this? And we've just got all these challenges we don't know what to do. I just say to you, this is what we need to be able to do. So it's not about waiting for the storm to pass, it's learning about how to dance in the rain. So we have got a lot of challenges at the moment, but we've got a lot of really good technologies to be able to get us there. And we need to embrace them, we need to be open to change, and just try some things. But the biggest thing is learning who to partner with. I think relationships, partnerships, of learning who's doing what and actually who's going to take you on the right journey is really important in the world coming. So just from a Gallagher perspective, where do we see we can help you? And we see the place that we can play is in that individual precision sort of animal management space, so creating solutions in that area. If you think about a lot of the quantum lifts in productivity that you've had in sheep and beef farming over the last while or last number of years, a lot of it is around individual animal management, and we think that's a space that we can really help with. You think pregnancy testing. So pregnancy testing, if you look at where productivity went up, that's a real quantum leap came in that time where that came in, and that is around the individual animal space. So if we know a whole lot more about individual animals, I think that is where you're going to be able to make those next advances, and there are technologies out there that are going to be able to help you. So here we have the perfect storm. So again, you've heard about this all day, population growth, lots more people, we must find a way to grow more with less, consumers want a connection, and so combining technology and insights, we think that we can help you come up with some groundbreaking solutions. So how have we changed? So you heard from Melissa this morning. We worked with Melissa, did some workshops with her. We're scanning technologies like she says, like she was saying she does all around the world at the moment. But we are really, really focused on farm productivity. And we're looking at what other technologies are out there in other businesses. So, you know, we talk about connectivity being a big issue in farming. So we look at other businesses that have or are very remote, like mining, things like that. We look at connectivity. What do they use? How do they use it? How can we bring that into agriculture? So we're always looking at that. We're always scanning for new technologies. We're really focusing, we've done a really good job at Gallagher on incremental innovation. So the next generation of weigh scales, the next generation of energizers. But we're moving so fast now, that won't be enough. So now we're looking at what will transform you, and then understanding different business models, you know, looking at different subscription models, and it was interesting that Melissa talked about that this morning also. Subscriptions, different ways of buying equipment, different ways of doing many, many things. But the biggest part of our work is voice of customer and customer insights. So we have a big, big program in this. We're always out talking to customers, talking to farmers. We have an interesting way of just working out what are their biggest challenges. And then we talk about technologies. What are the technologies? What's an app or a piece of equipment you can't do without? And what is it about that customer journey? What is it about that customer experience that makes it so good? And then we go away and we think about all those things, and we look at it in what jobs do you need to be done? So what are those things that really frustrate you every day? What are the pains in your business? What are the gains to be made? Where are we leaving productivity in the paddock? And so we go away, scan the technologies, look at that, work out where we may be able to help. And then we use design thinking principles in there. So we really understand the audience, define what the problem is, what the insights are, work on ideating, prototyping and testing. So through this whole process, we go back to farmers all the time. We go around the world to farmers. We talk to consumers to a lesser extent. We watch what people do on social media. We look at the data. We take data from our customer service, our tech support, understand the problems people are having, and then try and make it. So what we're all in our DNA at Gallagher is about redefining what's possible for our customers, and we do that through brilliant simplicity. So we're looking for really, really simple solutions for you. There's nothing, I think, more frustrating for a farmer, and talking about our farm at home when technology doesn't work. The amount of times we go to do customer insights and somebody tells me that they've got an energizer or they've got a weigh scale and it's still sitting in a box. So, it's been too difficult. We understand why that was. What was the problem? Where did that break down in that customer journey? And then go back, take that back, look again. But I also think that farmers need to be thinking about principles like this. There's things that you can do. Understand your customers, understand what you're trying to do, define, ideate, prototype, do little things, do tests on farm, work out what things work for you, what don't work for you, try different things. Don't be scared of change, don't be scared of these things, and don't be scared of what's coming at you, because once you start doing a lot of these things, you'll find out that there is productivity left in the paddock. Some of these things will enable you to pull that out. So where are we up to in our journey in solving pastoral farmers' largest challenges and unlocking productivity potential? One of the things that we have done, this is really around the incremental stuff, and I'll take you through this pretty quickly. So we understand there's quite a few problems that we want to become part of the morning ritual. At the moment, it's pretty basic. We just have, is your fence working? Do your animals have water? Are there no leaks? What's in your livestock inventory? What's the market doing? Where are your stock located for some people who use some of our other technology? But that's pretty basic, it's pretty incremental. And so I'll just take you through the parts of that. The one thing that we have done though in building this, that it all comes into an account. You have your Gallagher account, then all that information, at the moment weighing ID, Energizer water data comes in, and then we're looking at a lot of other future sensors. The one thing though that in all our customer insights we get told about is a real pain is interoperability, of being able to move data. So in our incremental sort of innovation, we've been looking at that. We have set this up, we're in the cloud, so data moves really easily. No more data sticks into scales, no more data sticks to move there. Somebody else on another part of the farm, you don't know, you've got one version of the truth now. It's all in the cloud immediately, and we're working very, very closely with a lot of other providers to be able to move data. So we're really into being able to move data easily, and we're agnostic about data. We accept all data, we send all our data. We don't want any ownership around data, we just want to move it. Water monitoring, we have the tank monitors, we have the water flow sensors. They're all coming in and out, the data. We're getting into telemetric water flow sensors, and the next wee while it will be the app on your phone showing you where you're up to with that. But again, that's pretty incremental. Ag devices, your fence performance in your pocket, so you've had to have. Now you can turn your fence on and off with the app. You don't have to have a monitor or a remote anymore. You get your fence performance and all of those things. But again, we're just making life a little bit easier, but it's nothing major. Animal performance, this is around this cloud-based record-keeping animal monitoring. A little bit easier, much easier to use. It's all on your phone as well. But we're just trying to make your life easier. Then we come into something that we're going to launch later this year, which will be, again, pretty incremental, but pretty good, a pretty new concept. The future is wireless. So instead of having load bars with cords that, and this is where we went around pains and gains on the farm, and we would look at tech support and we get all these load bars coming back in that water's got into the thing, something's cut them off, all of those things. So we've gone wireless with load bars. So you can have wireless load bars. If you're just wanting a really simple weighing system, your phone is now your scale head. So this will be available later this year. You will be able to just set up your phone with your Gallagher account. You get your weights on your phone, you carry on for the day, and it just syncs really quickly with the load bars, the app does. If you're wanting a lot more information there at the time, you'll still have your scale head, but we're removing that pain that farmers had around those load bars, cords and things being in the way and getting damaged. So again, it's an incremental advance, but it is from our customer insight work, working out what are the issues. Then the other one, something else that we're doing that is probably more in the transformational, is we're scanning technologies all the time around connectivity. We always hear about connectivity. Can't have connectivity. Some of you may have heard swarm satellites are coming. They are going to be something that will give better connectivity, but we're looking at that. We're looking at things like helium technology. We talk about technologies. We're not saying it needs to be wireless. We just want connectivity for IoT sensors on farm for pastoral farmers. So when we look at technologies, we don't have anything in mind of what they may be. These ones are one satellite, one is using long PHY, which is some LoRaWAN and other things, but as long as it gives us connectivity and does what we want, well, that's where we need to be heading. So wireless, I don't know if 3G, 4G is going to be the technology of the future or whether it will be one of these other ones. Helium, look it up. It's an interesting model. It's in the US and it's around at the moment where you can actually buy a device, you can actually build a network of wireless and then sell off wireless to neighbours and things like that. So it's a pretty different concept. It's something we've just been looking at. We haven't got one yet. It's not here, but it's coming pretty fast. And as Melissa said, that's the sort of thing we start scanning for. So the future is wearable. We've made a big investment in a company in Australia called AgInnovation, and this is virtual fencing. So imagine a world where you could put fences anywhere and move and monitor animals at any time from your device. And this is what we call the transformational things we've been looking at. This is one that we've been monitoring, and we made a very initial small investment about 4 years ago or 5 years ago now. We've followed it, we've understood more, we've talked to farmers all around the world about pains, gains and jobs to be done, and we believe that this is one of the things of the future. So we do have it on our farm at home at the moment. We're rotating animals around hill country, we're keeping them out of waterways. We've had it on over 100 animals for 4 months now, and it's a tool that is going to be of a lot of value. So the future is precision animal and pasture management. We're moving down this track of being able to monitor health through this device, so it is just the Fitbit on animals. We've looked at wearables in the way, and you'll see in a minute, we talk about just location tags. We see the real future is in the virtual fencing. Why is that? Because you can bring all other data in from some of the technologies I'll talk to soon, and then your decision making is automated. And instead of having to do things like, often we know, we collect data, but we don't know what to do with it. So we collect a whole lot of data on a weighing session. We have some animals that we know, heifers say, that aren't going to be up to weight for mating. But, do we want to create another mob? It's quite an issue. With virtual fencing technology, all you do is give some of the animals access to more feed earlier to get them up to weight. So you can actually segment your mob and treat every animal like it's an individual within that mob. And we've been doing some of these things to see how it works, and it works pretty well. So it holds the animals back that you don't want to, or there's some that are really, in very good condition and you're a bit tight for feed, so you say, well, actually, let's hold those back and let's give the others. You can all of a sudden make a whole lot of automated decisions based on a whole lot of data without making a whole lot more work for yourself. So we're building satellite base stations. At the moment, we have to have 3G, 4G coverage, but to be able to go further afield, we need satellite. We can automate pasture allocation based on weights, growth rates that you want to do, and we have a whole lot of data analytics. Here's just, this is just a little show of virtual fencing. So you would have been able to see the lines there in that crop, where they were allowed to go and where they weren't allowed to go. It's very definite, and I can explain to people afterwards rather than now about what it does, but they get an audio cue and then a pulse if necessary. Train to know that the audio cue means not to go any further. So here, sorry? Yeah, you can.
I would say if you put one of the virtual fencing, if you had a couple of bulls on one side, the heifer bulling on the other side,
Yeah.
the virtual fence will stop it.
No. It's a tool. It's a tool for pasture and animal management. No. Yeah. Yep. It's a technology, but no, I don't think at this stage. So you can see here, these are some animals on our property, and one of those is highlighted with the purple dot around it, and they're the tracks. That's where she's walked for the last 24 hours, all those yellow lines, as you can see up by one of the boundaries there, because that solid line is the boundary. The yellow triangle there is where she's had an audio cue, and the purple one is where she's had a pulse. So you can see she's walked up a few times. Once she got a pulse, the second time she went up, she got the audio and she's turned back. But I think it really will be, we can keep them on the shady faces and much bigger hill blocks, and then you can move them, and that's the real bonus of it. In Australia, I'll show you in a minute just how we move animals. You just set up within the system, you want to move them to a contiguous paddock, so round a hill block we're moving them round without actually having to go out there and without having to put a single wire up. But this one that I'll show you, as I said, is in Queensland. We moved them 2 kilometres over a 12-hour period, and you'll just see it will just take a little bit to get going. So you can see there the animals starting, and then the fence just follows them up, and then when one gets around 100 metres behind, it stops until it catches up. So you'll see some want to go back to that watering point, that little blue point. It waits for them, and then it continues moving on, and it then closes the gate behind them, or closes that new virtual fence behind them. But we're moving them around 300 to 400 metres in 20 minutes. Then we come on to GPS location tags, and why we talk about location tags rather than virtual fencing is at the moment we don't have technologies for sheep, but I think there's a lot of productivity left in the paddock that we can actually do with a location tag or knowing where an animal is. So, you know, as sheep and beef farmers, we don't know a lot about which paddocks are performing for us and which paddocks aren't. We don't know how to, you know, to decide about, even though we may do pasture covers, some paddocks just perform better, they have a better composition in them. When do we need to regrass? When do we need to do things? When do we need to fertilise? Those sorts of things. So if you use a quick value proposition to understand a lot or learn more about some of these wearables is just doing paddock productivity. You can put these tags on a few animals. You can monitor their weights and things, and you sort of get an indication of how many days grazing you got in a paddock, which paddocks are performing. You get the full-time history, traceability of an animal. You know where they were all the time. Cattle, you know if they've been in water. It actually starts to tell you a story. We're also doing health and wellness. We're doing things around heat detection and cows' lameness, that sort of thing, calving notifications and performance monitoring. What we're doing is build it, you know, you can actually use these tags in conjunction with some virtual fencing. If you don't want to know everything about every animal or you don't want them all fenced, we are finding some of that, but we really see this more as learning where animals are, and in that Queensland situation, when we talk about that again, when they go to muster, it's actually really important to know where the animals are because they go out with helicopters, hundreds of thousands of dollars at times. Just knowing where they are is one big thing, but with the virtual fencing, we actually move them to a central point to go and get them.
Is that a now technology? Is that commercially available now or in the future?
That's in the future with us. There are some technologies that are currently available.
So roughly what sort of time frame or what sort of price point roughly?
Yeah, don't know. Can't give you that yet. So these ones that we're talking about now are sort of in the, so we talk about Horizon 1, which are those ones that we first talked about, Horizon 2, Horizon 3, sort of in the 2 to 5 years. Then we're looking at the future as hands-free, real-time data collection. So data collection is difficult, and a lot of farmers find, you know, putting things in scales, having it all on one place, still using paper is difficult. We've been looking at some wearable devices. So the first one here, this one here is actually a ruggedized tablet, a wearable tablet. So the eyepiece in front, you're seeing actually the screen, you're seeing everything that's on there, it's very ruggedized. You've got a camera on the side, you can take photos of things. It's voice activated, so all your data, you just talk to it and it takes your data. So when you're weighing, if you want to put condition score in, you just go condition score's 4, it puts it in. You call the animal number up, it gives you all the data back. So it's a technology that I think is very, very useful in things like health and safety. You're driving around the farm, you can put your helmet over it. Driving around the farm, you see a health and safety issue, you can just load that up. You can take photos of things, jobs to be done maybe for workers, that sort of thing, but really, really good for data collection. So, and then when you're looking at animals in a paddock, and you want to know something more about it, last weights, all sorts of different things, you just call up the animal's number and it talks back to you and tells you. The other one is not, you can't see the screen with it, but the same sort of thing. So it's trained to understand the sorts of data you collect, and then it puts it into, you talk, like that guy's walking around looking at dairy cows, and he's doing some structural assessment on them. It's loading it all up into there. So a really, really easy way, real-time data collection. Thank you. So capture it, fast and easy, gets your hands free. So at the yards there, you can, instead of actually having to go back to your scale, if you're working in the yards by yourself, you just well, you either scan the animal number if you want to put the VID in, you just put the VID in, say whatever it is, 18103, it goes in 18103. Do whatever measurements you want to do on it, just talk to it, and you can look through that thing and you see it populating. So automated input of thousands of data points with a hands-free solution in real time, timely access to data, and it's really empowering that digital agriculture. So we see this as something that is going to take off in the next while of data collection points and actually really understanding how to get lots of data in to be able to do some of these insights. Then we look at camera vision technologies. The future is captured. Capture your livestock, capture your future. So we're looking all around the world at how different industries use camera vision technologies. And we see that counting is one way, and we'll look at that in a minute. When we go and do pains and gains with farmers, a lot of big corporate farmers tell us that stock counts are a real pain. So we've looked at other industries. One of them is casino industry. They can actually count people on the floor all the time. They can count people coming in. They can actually identify people from camera vision technologies, and we understand that we can do that with sheep and cattle now too, and by face recognition. So, is this a technology that we could see? We're seeing it being used in many, many other industries to count animals, or count in warehouses counting. They actually can do things around sizes of containers and things like that. So we're saying, well, maybe this is something in the end we will not need a weigh scale. We would have a camera up at the water trough as the animals come in. An image is captured. We use artificial intelligence or machine learning to actually tell you a weight. And then it may not even be that weight is important. It might be the condition of an animal, as we all know that some animals, if you go to a weight when you send them to the work, some actually aren't prime where others are. So maybe it will just tell you which ones to go. So this is something we're doing a lot of work on at the moment, and looking at how we can use some of the camera vision technologies. So the future is captured, and we've seen a number of trials where they've put a little camera up at the gateway. It captures animals, gives you a count of how many there are, and that's on your phone as you drive away from the gateway. So not sure. We do hear, though, in our pains and gains work that stock counts are important. Then the future is artificial intelligence. So it's combining all these technologies together and getting a whole lot of data. So using data from a wide spectrum of data layers and using machine learning to improve efficiency and management and automating decision making. So where it will tell you, you'll have maybe your camera technologies, so you know the weights of the animals, you don't have to bring them in anymore. You know a little bit about where the animals have been grazing, which animals are, and then it will come back to you and you'll put in some targets and it will come back to you and say, your virtual fence needs to move for these animals this far, for these ones, they stay here. Or it starts drafting some out that may be on heat or different things like that. So there's so many things that we could do with technologies, but it's really this automated decision making, which of course you can override, and it doesn't come without stockmanship and those things, but a really interesting way of being able to do more automated decisions and being able to make decisions like every animal is your only animal. And this is that, move or manage every animal like it's the only one. Which ones to move, which ones to keep, which to treat, which to kill, and which to mate. And these are a lot of the decisions that we believe will be able to come out of using all these different technologies and the artificial intelligence and machine learning. So just the last, sorry, no, not quite the last one. So it will really help you know with confidence which ones are making you money in the herd, which ones are losing you money, And you'll be able to identify, and we may not even need tags in the future. It may be camera vision to be able to do facial recognition. You'll know out in the paddock which ones are actually doing what you need them to do, and I think you'll find that you'll make a lot of productivity improvements by just culling off the bottom percent of any herd. If you cull off 20%, you can probably make 30 to 40% productivity improvements. And then how are we going to collate all this data? So the future is data-driven. It's a data platform that will have automated weights. You can see there we're looking at some other more incremental things of paddock weighing technologies rather than the camera technologies, where animals step on, front foot weighing. We're looking at some pasture technologies, a number of different ones, market data, location, image data, weather, animal data, water, and our static data. Then putting this into some algorithms and doing some artificial intelligence and machine learning and giving automated data decisions. So that's where we're really heading. Thank you. Yep. How do you think it will be perceived by consumers that animals are wearing shock collars? Yep, so we've done a lot of work around this. I've worked very closely with SPCA and in the US a lot around that. The problem is, or the thing is with this, is animals get a choice. So they're trained. It's actually their choice whether they go further or not. And it's interesting, animal welfare people are very interested in animals having a choice. So they feel that with an electric fence there is no choice for an animal. But with a virtual fence, they can hear the audio, they have the choice to turn away. It's an avoidance thing. The other thing with the shock watch, we call a pulse, and there it is a third of what you get from an electric fence. It's more, if you put it on your arm, it feels more like, it's very localized, it feels more like static from your car rather than an actual pulse. Do you need cell reception for wireless low bars? So it's a Bluetooth connection. For wireless low bars, no cell phone reception, just Bluetooth. Camera technology could measure marble fat score and beef while still on the farm. We've done work and we see that it can do condition. I'm not sure about marble score. I'm not sure about intramuscular fat, but we can see that it can do subcutaneous fat. So it can do condition, but I'm not sure around actually intramuscular fat at the moment. It's a marble score. Low bars, yes, they will be compatible with other companies' indicator stick readers. That is a Gallagher thing, that we are agnostic. So we want everything to work with everything. We don't mind whether you have a different scale head or readers. Yep, they will work. Do I think virtual fencing will become mainstream in New Zealand? Soon to be effective tool. I think it will be an effective tool for the freshwater thing, but as we know, a lot of beef farms have sheep, and depending what you want to do with those sheep. So if you're actually going to plant it out, you probably don't want sheep in there also. It absolutely keeps animals out of waterways. So animals can go over the line, so if they are pushed, like if you come in your truck and they run, it turns off, it lets them for animal welfare issues, then it herds them back. But you have traceability of how many animals or where the animal is at all times. So I think having that traceability, or knowing that they were in there for 10 minutes or something, most of the regional councils we've spoken to are happy about that. And yes, I think it really will be a tool. Where I see it being a really good tool is those sheep and beef farms, probably on the east coast, that have a much bigger sheep proportion of their stock units to cattle. So you have maybe 80 or 100 breeding cows, say, and a larger herd of sheep or a larger flock of sheep. And to fence all those waterways on that sort of area for a small amount of cattle, the cost benefit is much higher than if you have a really large population of cattle. They're one of those. Is the development of phone app to supersede the EID reader? Yep, we are working on a number of things, but yep, we are. Okay. I'm here later if you want to talk to me about some of the others.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sarah. I was blown away with the technology that yourself and Gallagher are embracing. If we don't have Gallagher and people like Sarah, you know, moving forward to create this technology for us to, you know, so we can have virtual fencing and all that data collection, you know, we're not going to get there to solve all our farm environmental issues. So you know, it saves us putting the research and time into it. So to have people like yourself and Gallagher doing it for us is truly remarkable. And we're privileged to have Gallagher, you know, in our farming industry. You know, the collars is probably, you know, I think every farmer here is thinking the collars is going to be a big game changer. So good luck with that. Yeah, so we've got a few gifts here, and we just want to really thank you for your time today. Thanks very much, Sarah.
Thank you very much for hearing us. That's lovely, thank you.